just like every girl does, I used to look at myself in the mirror and of course make pouty faces. I think every girl does that. We typically ramp walk.
Maybe if you have some photos, we can put that in the B-rolls. How much money do you make from content creation? Consulting versus content creation?
Consulting.
Okay, because you have to say that.
No, because...
When is Akanksha getting married? Hi everyone, welcome to Conversation with Kushal once again. Today we have someone who's got into SRCC, then she went into IIM Ahmedabad. She also did modeling. She's a Miss India Elite 2017 and now she's working at one of the top consulting firms in India. Well, let us hear for Akanksha Choudhary. Thank you so much Akanksha for accepting my invitation. It's going to be super fun talking to you and discussing your journey with everyone.
Thanks Kushal, I also look forward to it.
Perfect. So can you just tell everyone about your early career and your professional journey? If you can just introduce yourself.
Sure. Hey, hi everyone. I hail from Ajmer. I did my economic honors graduation from SRCC in 2014. Then I was 2017 pass out from SRCC, went to IIM Ahmedabad 2017 to 2019, and then have been part of a consulting firm since last 5 years, where now I'm a manager.
Wow, that's amazing. So now you have shifted from Ajmer to then Delhi at SRCC and then Ahmedabad for your post-graduation, and now where are you working? Which city are you working at?
It is mostly in Mumbai. So in consulting, generally you have to travel to the client location. That's my base office is Mumbai, but I travel to whatever location my clients are.
Got it. Yeah, that's the highlight of consulting.
Yes.
You get to travel a lot. Perfect. So could you just tell us about your early childhood as well? So how were you as a kid in Ajmer, and then how was that entire upbringing which helped you in your career today?
Sure. I think I was a fairly studious child, and I'll be lying if I say I wasn't. So I was always like a class ranker. Yeah. Till my 11th class, I was rank 2. And I used to really hate that. And I really am so happy that it was class 12th where you actually need to change the trajectory. And I started coming as the school ranker. Then I became the district ranker in 12th, which helped me land into SRCC economic honors. So I think early childhood, it has mostly been me struggling to become number 1 and then finally cracking the code in 12th standard to become the district topper.
So at Ajmer, how was the entire schooling experience? Till what age or till what year of your life you were at Ajmer?
Till 12th standard, so I don't recall the age, but till 12th standard.
Got it. And then you shifted to Delhi after Ajmer.
Yes.
So in those till 12th standard itself, so what are some of the lessons you've learned from your parents which you also feel very grateful for, and it's also helping you in your career today? In those 12 years itself, what would be some of the incidents?
Yeah, so I think number 1 was the importance of extracurricular. So my dad was an international cyclist. He won a bronze medal in Asian Games, and therefore from our childhood, extracurricular was extremely inculcated in us. My brother used to play football, I used to play basketball, and therefore maintaining work-life balance till now, I think it has been because I was always a studious student along with doing some extracurricular, which also then led to modeling because I wanted to do something else in SRCC as well. So extracurricular importance was number 1. Number 2 was just learning from your seniors, because my parents, they come from very different background. My dad was mostly in sports and my mom was in zoology, and therefore there was no one in my family who was from commerce. The only people I can look forward to guide me were my seniors from school and my school teachers.
How did you end up choosing commerce when you had such a diverse family background?
Yeah, I think I never wanted to do entrance examination, to be very blunt. When I was in 9th standard, I used to look at people preparing for IITs and for medical examinations, and I used to think this is not, I can't go through that much level of burden psychologically, and therefore I always wanted a college like SRCC or St. Stephen's or Lady Shriram that accepts you for the marks that you score in your 12th standard. Also, I particularly felt that I wanted a job with more avenues. For example, in commerce, you can become a CA, a CFA, you can go into MBA, you can become a product manager manager, you have like so many avenues, and I prefer that rather than just going into engineering or doctor, etc.
Right, fair. And then like once you decided you wanted to get into commerce, coming from like Ajmer, did you get some sort of, let's say, like how was that family support for you? Like you wanted to get into SRCC, which is the #1 college, but you were studying at Ajmer itself. So how was that entire conversation with your parents, and what was their reaction when they got to know you wanted to get into commerce and SRCC?
Yeah, I think my parents are pretty chill about everything in my life. My mom was like, just ensure that you are going into something through which you can build a career, you can get a job. That's it. Rest, it was okay for me to go to commerce or to science, etc. I think there was no pressure.
Got it. And did you ever think when you were in your 10th, 11th, you'll get into modeling as well in the future?
No, I think just like every girl does, I used to look at myself in the mirror and of course make pouty faces. I think every girl does that. We typically ramp walk.
Maybe if you have some photos, we can put that in the B-rolls.
Thankfully, no photos. But every girl, I think, ramp walks at 3 a.m. at night at some point in their life. So, but I won't say that I've ever thought of going into modeling. It was a very random decision. A best friend of mine, Priyanka, and we were in SRCC, and one day we just decided that there is some pageant going on, let's go and apply. And we went there and applied for it, and I don't know how I got selected. I'm still surprised.
So this happened after SRCC, the modeling front?
This happened during second year of SRCC. That's when I also started my CAT prep.
Okay, got it. So let's talk about your SRCC journey. So how much did you score in your 12th?
So SRCC or majority of the DU colleges, they take top 4, including English. So English is compulsory, and then they take top 3 of the remaining top 4. I think that was 99%.
What? 99%?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But the cutoff of economic honors in SRCC and St. Stephen is also like 98 or something.
My God.
97.
I feel embarrassed right now. I had what 88% in my 12th, and I'm like, okay, so koi SRCC was never, was there in my bucket list also, because 88 पे तो कोई chance ही नहीं था वहाँ पर जाने का.
We had 2 students who scored 100% across the 5 examinations, by the way. Not just top 4, but top 500%.
My God.
One of them is now an IAS officer.
Oh wow, that's lovely. So let's talk about your SRCC journey then. So you got into SRCC, and so how were those 3 years, and how did they shape your career?
So in SRCC, fun fact, economic honors students are limited because the cutoff of economic honors is higher than BCom honors, and also science students can apply for economic honors.
Okay. So there are two streams, is it, like economic honors and BCom honors?
And BCom honors.
And what would be the rough split between the two streams?
I think 20% economic honors or 30% economic honors, and 60 to 70.
And how many students would there be in total?
I recall, I think 900 to 1000 and not 800.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, so how was your SRCC journey?
Yeah, so the economic honor students call themselves purple cows.
Okay. What does that mean?
Purple cows are basically that you are different amongst the bunch of cows who are generally black and white, right? Okay. And therefore, I think we take pride in the fact that we are economic honors students. Okay. So it was a fun journey. I always wanted to do economic honors because number one, there is a lot more arts to it as well. For example, there is economic history as a subject. There are subjects which are focused on like macroeconomic concepts which are not mathematics, and there is also a lot more mathematics in microeconomics, in statistics, etc. So it was super fun. I think we had really great professors. I was outside my home for the first time, so yeah, it was great. And I think what really inspired me again was the alumni from SRCC. I recall our first introduction, and we had Arun Jaitley.
Oh wow.
It's so inspirational. You look at these people and you think yourself, yeah, someday I want to reach that podium. And I think that's something which, at least in Ajmer, I never felt. That alumni network of just great leaders is something that I got introduced to in SRCC.
So how was your entire mindset when you shifted from Ajmer to Delhi? Was it very difficult for you to cope up and stay in a new metro city, or how challenging was it for you, and how did you tackle that?
So my mom shifted with me for 2 months.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
So you're a pampered child, is
You're
it?
very pampered.
Okay.
So my mom shifted with me, and therefore the first 2 months were relatively easy, and also it gave me some time to get acclimatized to the metropolitan life. That being said, my dad used to have transfers in Delhi as well, so it was not like we have never stayed in Delhi, but for very short stints of time. So I think it was okay because my mom was there for 2 months, and after that I lived in a PG.
Got it. Fair. So let's talk about your most memorable experience at SRCC, and maybe something that you're always grateful to SRCC for. So maybe what is in those 3 years itself, what would be that one experience which you're like कि हाँ यार ये तो एकदम मतलब this is something which I'll always remember.
I think my most memorable experience in SRCC is when I joined SRCC, right? When you're from a city which is not Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, you have this self-doubt creep in terms of, are you the best? You are amongst people who are like really intelligent and ambitious. Do you know where to go, because your parents have not are not from the same field? They can't teach you where to go in terms of, let's say, societies to join in college, etc. So I think the most memorable experience was, this was second year, and I was amongst the top 5 students in terms of academics in economic honors batch. So that was the most memorable experience. I still have that certificate with me with the stamp of SRCC, and I just absolutely adore that certificate, because it helps me believe that in spite of all the self-doubt, it doesn't matter where you're from, or whether your parents have guided you enough or not, or if you belong to a society that is full of intelligent people who are there to support you. But as long as you have trust on yourself and you can work on yourself, you can achieve stuff. So that's the most memorable one. And then the second one was, what's the most?
I mean, the most memorable one, and I was going to ask you about like maybe some experience that you did not like at SRCC. What was your worst experience?
Worst experience, honestly, are these societies culture in DU, I feel like, personally, because I was not part of a lot of societies during my school days. I was from a convent school, and everything was mostly related to studies. And when I came to Delhi, I needed some help in order to understand that you actually need these societies, etc., and the positions of responsibility, and to build your CV. I think that I was not aware of. So my experience in the first year was not being part of any society. And therefore, how do I build my CV for second year or third year in placement? That was the worst. And it took me effort to get into societies in second and third year finally, because I had to figure out the entire system.
Got it. Fair. So you went into modeling in the second year, you said, when you were at SRCC. So tell us more about that story. So you and your friend, how did you apply? What was that entire experience like? And how did you get that award as well?
Yeah, so we have a fashion society in every college, right? And I recall one of my fashion society senior was talking about this pageant, and then she just said, okay, you have a good height, you should also go and try. And I had a very cool best friend. I still like her a lot. So very cool. She said, okay, let's go for it. And we both just went there. So the process was that they have this registration desk in which you have to provide your height, your weight, where you're from, your age, etc. And then it starts with 2-3 rounds. So round number 1 is simple ramp walk. You have to walk towards the stage, introduce yourself, walk back. They judge you based on how you introduced, what are the qualificatory words you used in the introduction, and then of course the ramp walk itself. That's round number 1. Then round number 2 is question and answer, wherein they ask you question and they judge how confident you are, how do you answer, etc. And last round is that you have to pose for some sample pictures, and then accordingly they select almost 30-40 people after that. And then there is the actual competition after a month or 2 months, wherein the 30-40 participants come and then one person is crowned.
And out of this 30-40 people who are there, so before these 30-40, how many total apply, and out of how many people these
Oh,
30, 40 are
a
selected?
lot. Almost like, I think I recall 3,000, 4,000.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So this is like across India, this entire competition.
Exactly.
So all the people from India,
Yes.
they would apply. And is there like some category, like age group, or is there some certain restriction, like who can apply and all?
There are restrictions. For example, you have to be unmarried, you have to be younger than 26 years of age. So there are few restrictions which are there. I think there is a minimum height criteria of 5'5".
Oh, okay.
So
Got it. And then like after 30, 40 were selected, then what was the criteria for selecting the one who was crowned?
yeah, so the 30, 40 people, they call you to a main area, like a hotel or something, and then you have to stay there for almost a week or 10 days. And every day there are 2 or 3 competitions that happen, like every day. So for example, even in terms of your shoot, there would be 2-3 rounds. There would be an evening gown round, there would be a swimwear round, there would be an Indian wear round, then there is a question and answer round. And the way it happens is across the 7 days, the judges are also there with you. They sit with you and they analyze all the participants throughout various competitions. At the end of 7 days, they select top 10, and then the top 10 have to again do ramp walks, question and answers, etc. to finally
God.
get selected. Yeah.
A lot of work here. And you were the one who was crowned, right?
Yeah, so it's generally like every competition has 3,
Okay.
top 3, and then each of the 3 basically gets assigned to a separate international pageant. So for example, if I talk about Times Miss India, they send you to Miss World, Miss Universe, etc. Right? So those are the top 3. Then similarly, my one was supranational, Miss Supranational India. So that was, and then Miss Face of Beauty India. So those are the different types of international pageant that they send you to.
Got it. Very, very interesting. And then like this was over in your second year itself.
This was over towards the end of my second year.
End of the second year. So how did you choose between like going for modeling full time versus going for IIM Ahmedabad? So how did that decision happen?
Yeah. So honestly, there is a big journey between pageants and modeling. So there are girls who have done well in pageants, but in order to get into modeling, you have to do completely separate auditions, and it's not like just because you are a winner of a pageant, you are going to get directly selected in a modeling industry. So the way modeling industry works is that you have to go for auditions to either modeling agencies or actual shows. For example, Lakme Fashion Week, Couture Week, etc. They have their auditions, and then you have to go if the judges like the girl, then they select the girl. You have to wear like a number, and then if they like you, they write down your number, and then you get selected. Or there are agencies, modeling agencies who have recruited you. They send your profile, and then if the shows people like you, then they take you. So I think modeling for me was always a side hustle. It was always extracurricular, fun. It was a completely different world from the studious world that I typically belong to, right? And I was just learning a lot in terms of meeting people from arts background, because a lot of the models are either in fine arts or they are doing architecture. I know one of my best friend is doing cinematography. So I was really intrigued to meet people from different background, and therefore I continued to stay there. Plus the adrenaline rush that you get when you're walking on the ramp is just crazy. So it's really beautiful. Therefore I stayed in modeling, but it was always a side hustle. I selected IIM Ahmedabad because I was very clear that I want to do MBA as a career. I want to get like a good job which is intellectually stimulating and very stable, and also the career trajectory is like super fast. So I was very clear that I want to either go into consulting or investment banking, and therefore I had to do MBA. So IIM Ahmedabad it came way later. Initially it was whether I want to do modeling versus masters in economic honors or masters in business administration, and it was clear that modeling will continue as a side hustle, but I'll go into masters.
Okay, got it. So are you still continuing or Like you've
No,
stopped?
not now, because it's very difficult for two reasons. Number one, I travel a lot, and generally for modeling for shows, you need 4 to 5 days. So the way it happens is you have to go for fittings. So there are 3 days of fittings wherein you have to go, you have to dress the like test the dress, whether how it's looking on you, etc. And then there are 3 or 4 days of actual show. So it requires 5-7 days. I cannot take 5-7 days of holiday, especially at the manager tenure. It's very difficult. And for shoots, again, you have to travel to a lot of locations in order to do the shoots, which now is not possible because I already travel a lot.
So when you got that award, so what exactly is given to the person who wins the award? Is it just like a crown or some cash prize as well?
It's mostly like the cash prize is very nominal, honestly. There is cash prize. It's like 20,000-30,000. So very nominal. However, you do get two things. Number one is it gives you publicity. So modeling agencies start reaching out to you. It helps you build your portfolio of pictures, etc. It helps to groom you, by the way. So for example, during the 7 days that you stay, there are diet coaches, there are gym coaches, etc. I was getting introduced to all of this for the first time because I never went to a gym before my modeling days ever. And similarly, I was like in terms of nutritious information, I never looked at food and thought, okay, this is nutritious versus this is not. I was like, okay, whatever the food is, I'll go ahead and eat it. I think it grooms you a lot. And that's what you get out of the experience.
Right, fair. So after this, like your SRCC experience was over, so you decided to go for MBA at IIM Ahmedabad. So can you talk more about your CAT preparation journey? How did you like prepare for CAT, and how much did you score in CAT, by the way?
Yeah. So for me, the preparation started in year 2. I think a lot of mistakes students do is they start the prep in year 3. And if you start it in 3rd year of your undergraduation, you only have like 7 months or 8 months to actually prepare for it. Especially when you're also sitting for final examinations. And I always wanted to keep a option number 2 if I don't get good percentile in CAT. So my option number 2 was if I score well in economic honors in SRCC, then I can use that percentage to get entry into Delhi School of Economics in DU to do my master's in economic honors. Therefore, for me, it was sure that I need to split time between preparing for CAT and preparing for my examinations at the college. Thus, I started in year 2. I did my coaching from Times. Again, I was very clear that I want to do coaching because for a commerce student, it's important to brush up some of the mathematical concepts from your school, as well as there are some new mathematical introductory ideas that you get when you're doing the coaching session. So I did Times coaching. It was almost 1.5 months of coaching and then mock test, etc. Once I got the interview letter, they also helped me with interview preparation. So it was like a full journey which was there. I think the way these coaching institute divide is there are 2-3 main sections of a CAT examination. There is verbal ability, there is quant, which is proper mathematics, logical reasoning, and data interpretation. Each of them have a fair set of 50 subtopics. And they divide the subtopics across every month, and then they give you some modules to do self-learning. So I used to work on the modules rather than looking at the answer. I would try to solve it myself and then see what is my accuracy, what is my speed. Accordingly, I always had a book which was like notes of mistakes and notes of quick wins, which is basically any funda that helps me answer the question quickly or faster and correctly than some other method. So I used to keep those 2 notebooks with me, and then there were mock examinations in which all the time student across India would sit and you would actually get percentile. And I recall the initial percentiles were like 70%, 60%, because there are people who are doing the first few mocks who already know a lot. They've been preparing for CAT since 2 years, 3 years, and you have just started the prep. So I think reaching to 80 percentile was not very difficult, to be honest. After the basic coaching that I was getting from the coaching institute, I was able to get 85 percentile. The 85 to 95 is very difficult, and the 95 to 99 or 98 is the worst stretch. Like that's where all the hard work, all the magic happens. And therefore, for me, it was mostly giving a lot of mock test, but analyzing them. So if I'm sitting for a mock test for 3 hours, I would analyze the mock test for 2 hours. And that was very important for me. That was the game changer that helped me get from 85 to 95. And then 95 to 98 was just lots of practice.
Right. What was your CAT score, by the way?
I think it was 98 point.
And what is the cutoff at IIM Ahmedabad?
It's very different. So the way IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, every IIMs, the way they do the cutoff is they take a weighted average of your 10th, 12th, undergrad, and then also your CAT. Accordingly, there are weights provided, and these weights also vary. For example, the weight of a CAT student who is from commerce background for 12th standard is different from a arts background, it's different from a science background. So basically, let's say if you are from science, in order to get a weight of 5, I'm just making an example, in order to get a weight of 5, a science student needs to have 90%, a commerce student needs to have 85%, and art student needs to have 80%. So it's very, very different. And again, there are things like humanities background, etc. also differs. So.
Got it, fair. And once your CAT was over, then you would have gotten an interview call at IIM. So how was that process for you? What kind of questions you were asked in your interview, and which colleges approached you for interviews?
So I got calls from all the IIMs, ABC, Lucknow, Kozhikode, all the IIMs. I did not apply for ISB because ISB requires a minimum year of experience, and I was a fresher, so I was not eligible for ISB. But IIMs, I got all the calls. What really helped is before I went to IIM Ahmedabad call, I had few other calls which helped me prepare for the IIM Ahmedabad call. So that was good. I think my Lucknow call was first, and then I had Calcutta, then Ahmedabad, then Bangalore. So I think this was the sequence. So there were 2-3 things that helped me prepare for it. I mentioned that Times gives you coaching. So there are 2 types of processes in IIM Ahmedabad interview. There is a proper interview, and there is a written examination wherein they give you a topic and you have to almost write an essay, and they rank you on the essay. So and also some of the colleges like IIM Bangalore, they also have group discussions. So group debates, group discussions, etc. Times helped me at least prepare in terms of best practices. For example, whenever you're doing a group discussion, you should not cut someone. If someone is not speaking, you should ask that person to also speak, give them a chance, like just tell that I haven't heard from you. Is there anything you want to speak about? So those were some best practices that I was actually not aware of. I would just think that I have to go and put my point forth and that's it. But it was so important to know these best practices. Another best practice was that if someone is not taking the initiative, go ahead and summarize that what did we discuss before you're ending the group discussion, which was also, it shows initiative, it shows leadership, etc. So those were few best practices. Similarly, for written examination, I got some best practices from my coaching and also for the interview. Now, in terms of actual questions, every IIM differs. I'll talk about IIM Ahmedabad. So the professor who was taking my interview was an economics professor, and I was an economics graduate, so it was honestly quite technical. There were few questions that professor asked me. So it started with a basic introduction, then how much did I score in my undergrad, what did I really like in my undergrad in terms of subject. I selected microeconomics. Then they gave me few specific questions of microeconomics to solve. Then there was a very interesting question on who is my favorite economist recently, and honestly that time Raghuram Rajan was. So I said Raghuram Rajan, and then they asked me, okay, what is one policy of Raghuram Rajan that you really like, and how do you think it's going to affect the economy? Which was super fun. I actually draw out a curve of economics on how it can go in the future. And then, of course, there are behavioral questions like why MBA, what after MBA. So those were the behavioral questions.
Got it. And apart from IIM Ahmedabad, so how was the interview at IIM Bangalore and Lucknow and all?
Yeah, so Calcutta was fairly smooth. I would say it was also good. So Calcutta interview was mostly structured around, again, introduction about me. What did modeling teach me that can help me in MBA, which was, yeah, like, okay, that's a good question.
What did you answer? I'm interested to know this.
Okay, we'll answer this in some time. I'll just complete the
Sure.
question.
Yeah.
So, what did modeling or how it would help me in MBA? Then there were specific questions on, again, what subject I really like. If I have to do a specialization, what specialization in MBA, like finance, HR, etc., which one would I like? And then they made me to select 2-3 top employers and what role I see myself as a future in those top employers. So that was IIM Calcutta interview. Bangalore was bad. I still got, I converted, I got the admission, I converted the interview, I don't know how, but it was bad just because they are very, like the panel was very good at judging your, like where do you lack, and I am not very good at GK. In all honesty, like my GK is not the best, it's average, it's not very good, and they were asking me very specific questions and I clearly told them that there is a L1 of GK that I know, I don't know L2 of GK, and therefore I don't even want to take a punt at some of the questions. So they actually started grilling me on GK questions.
What kind of questions?
So it was almost like, okay, they were telling me in Spain, for example, if these are the two cities, if you take a boat from city 1 to city 2, what are the various coastlines that will come? Then there was a question on if you take a boat from India, one city to another, what are the languages that you would come across? How many municipalities are in USA? So
My
tough
God.
questions. I would not know the
Yeah.
answer of those.
Even I don't know the answers to all these questions. But
Yeah.
how did you tackle the stress?
The stress was okay because I was confident on myself, but honestly I felt IIM Bangalore I would not convert. Because I clearly told them that there is no point me trying to guess something which is a fact. You can't guess facts. I think they might have liked that.
Got it. And coming back to your answer to the modeling question.
Yeah. So there were 2-3 things that I think modeling helps when it comes to MBA. Top one is time management. So when I was doing modeling, I was also preparing for CAT. I was also preparing for my final examinations in SRCC. And therefore, time management and prioritization was so important. Like I had to know that these days I'm booked for a modeling appointment. These days I'm going to focus on preparing for my CAT mock test. These days I'm going to focus on preparing for my economic honors report, etc. So I think the time management and prioritization in my mind became very well because of modeling, and that helps in MBA, that helps in job as well. Like it continues to help me a lot because now I can look at a milestone and I can divide that milestone into achievable targets and also the work plan to achieve that target, which I think was the best. So that's one thing that modeling taught me. Second thing I think that modeling helps me is I have a much broader perspective, honestly, than a person who has always been in the same field with the same sort of folks around them. I know a lot of different people, and therefore I have a lot more ideas and opinions, which I feel is important. And I also think modeling is a lot more broad-minded. It's one of the fastest growing industries in terms of horizon of mind, of acceptance, right? Whether it is LGBTQ or any other new age concepts, I think in society, modeling world accepts it very openly. And that is again something which I have been taught and I continue to at least try to bring to my team.
It makes you more creative, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And just about the IIM Calcutta thing. So I've heard that it's more like a finance focused business school in India. So is it like if someone wants to get into finance roles, IIM Calcutta or IIM Ahmedabad should be their preference? What are your thoughts on that?
So in all honesty, what I have seen, if people get IIM-A, they select IIM-A.
Over any other IIM?
Generally. IIM-A and IIM-B, there is, like I've seen people who left IIM-A for IIM-B.
Oh, okay.
And I think finance specialization in IIM-B is in fact more renowned.
And ranking wise, IIM Ahmedabad is the top in India right now.
I think ranking wise it's Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, but sometimes the rank between Ahmedabad and Bangalore switches. So I think there was 1 year where it was IIM Bangalore, then IIM Ahmedabad, then IIM Calcutta. So I think between IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore there is this huge tassel, and also IIM Bangalore was the first ever IIM Ahmedabad was the second that was created. But between IIM-A and Calcutta, majority of the at least I have never personally heard that people left IIM-A for IIM Calcutta.
Got it. Fair. So cool. Now you have cleared your CAT. The interviews are over. And then when did you get to know about the conversion from IIM?
This was...
Can you talk about the timeline? So November you give the CAT.
Yeah.
Then when is the interview and when do you get to know?
So I have to actually recall when exactly. I can talk about the semester part. So for example, I know I gave my entrance in semester 3 and then semester 5 is when, and semester 5 is the same semester that you basically start applying for placements. So you apply for placements, and that was the same time that your CAT interview process also starts. So that was semester 5. Before I graduated, so before my semester 6 examinations, I already got IIM Ahmedabad.
Okay. So when do these final exams happen, the semester 6 exams?
I think they change every year, so
Okay.
it's very difficult to talk about a time. Like 1 or 2 months due changes here and
No, I'm
there.
trying to understand for someone who's now going to give their CAT in the next coming November. So what would be the trajectory for them? So November may they give the CAT. Then when can they expect an interview call, and by when they get to know they're admitted to the
I think I can
college?
talk about months. So if
Months.
they give the exam, generally the results are out in 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
And you would like as soon as the results are out, it won't be long before the first list is announced. So
Got it.
again, the lists are announced at different time periods, but the list 1 gets announced almost immediately.
Got it.
Then you have the interview calls for list 1 in almost, I think, 1 month, 1.5 months. And then the list 2 starts in 2 months. So that's
it.
the process.
Perfect. And then you, if you are converted, then you start your MBA in June or July, I assume?
Yeah.
Got it. Fair. So let's talk about your journey. Now you are at IIM Ahmedabad. You've started your MBA. So how were those 2 years? And if you were to summarize your entire 2-year experience, like what happened in those 2 years in the next 5 minutes for the audience, that'll be super helpful. This will just
Yeah.
give them a gist of how does a life at IIM Ahmedabad look like.
I think it's a mini corporate life. Like it's said that MBA prepares you for the corporate world. And I can completely say that's every sentence, every word of that is true. It does prepare you for corporate job because it's very rigorous. Academically, it's very rigorous. You have to also manage a lot of extracurricular internships. So the way the entire process happens is that first year there are set electives. So you cannot choose any elective. There are set electives that happen. And accordingly, the entire first year examinations are also same for every person. Ranking in IIM Ahmedabad is again relative, similar like CAT. So basically, in every class, you won't get absolute ranks. You would get relative numbers, relative ranks, etc., which are based on, of course, absolute marks, but the ranking is done relatively. And it's all case based. So the difference between IIMA, IIMB is also like IIMA is much more case based. Every class would have a bunch of cases that you have to come prepared with. So there are a lot of academic rigor that goes into preparing for the case. Then you have to come and actually, so there are marks of class participation. You come prepared with the case, either the professor will ask you or you have to like put your hands up and answer the question yourself.
Can you give some examples of what kind of cases are these?
Yeah, so for example, if they have to teach you in marketing the Porter framework, right? So there would be, towards the end of class, they'll just introduce you to the Porter framework, that these are the 4 or 5 key elements. And that's it. In the next class, in order to apply that Porter framework, there would be a case example. For example, a retail manufacturer is planning to enter a market. This is their current market share. This is their current offerings, etc. They are planning to enter market XX. Now, how will you decide whether they should enter or not? And then you would think about that, okay, within the Porter framework, this is the competition intensity, this is X element. Basis whatever is written in the case, you would almost prepare an answer, and it would give you all the facts. For example, let's say it will tell you that there is an existing competitor in Spain market, which has a market share of 50%, and it's very price competitive. There have been 2 other companies trying to replace it, but they haven't been able to. So then it just becomes like automatically clear to you. So it gives you the facts, you fit it in the framework, and you actually use the case to understand the framework in real life and build it accordingly.
Got it. Very interesting.
Yeah.
This also would ensure practical application and
Exactly,
all
which
of
is
that.
what majority of the MBA in IIM Ahmedabad is
Right.
based on, which is practical application.
Right. And what would be your most memorable experience at IIM Ahmedabad? A lot of them I can see on your smile. But if you were to tell one.
Yeah, I think getting the pre-placement offer from the company I interned at was the most memorable experience, because honestly MBA first year gets very stressful because you're preparing for an internship, and it sets the precedence for a lot of things. Firstly, if you are getting an internship in the company you always aspired for, that's a tick. Second, that company, now you have joined, you have interned at the company, they give you the pre-placement offer, another tick. Once you get a pre-placement offer, you don't have to fight for the final placement. Secondly, even if you want to fight for the final placement, you'll get a better company than what you're currently having the PPO from. So it's always like a plus. You'll never be degraded to another job. So the
Right.
pre-placement offer, internship, it's like a huge time in MBA student life.
So you accepted the PPO that you got.
Yeah. So the current company that I'm working with is actually the only corporate that I've worked with throughout my whole life.
Oh,
I
is
was
it?
a fresher, I interned there, I got the pre-placement offer, and then I continued to work in it since last 5 years.
Got it. At IIM Ahmedabad, like what are the average stipends which people can expect in their summer internships per month?
Average would be, I think 1 lakhs,
1 lakh per month. Got it. And this would be for a period of 2 months.
2 months.
Got it. And in like how many students are there in a batch of IIM Ahmedabad in total?
I think there would be like 300,
Got it.
350 students.
Got it. Fair. And what would be the average package which people get after they graduate from IIM Ahmedabad?
The average package is 25 to
Okay.
35, but
Got it.
it's average, and average is always impacted by extremes.
Yeah.
So honestly, it's impacted by the students who are top 1% and get like 70 lakhs, 60 lakhs package. So average is 25 to 35.
Got it. And what are your thoughts on the entire job market right now? Like a lot of people are contemplating whether to do an MBA or not, because even after doing an MBA, they are not able to get a job, or they are not able to get the dream package that they want. So what would be your advice to all the people who are planning to do an MBA just because they want to get a job after a point in time?
I think two very important things. Number one is selection of college. You need to know that the college has that network of companies coming for placements, or at least internship, like some opportunity for you to enter into the job market. So that's very important. And again, it's not just how many companies come for placement, but also what percentage of the students get placed. So both the metrics need to be evaluated. You can have the best companies coming for placement and they select like 20% of the batch and 80% of the batch remains unemployed. That's also very bad. So it's also about how many percentage of students are getting placed. So that's selection of college. And once you have selected the college, just analyze whether your CV is already at a stage wherein you can compete with a good candidate. And if it's not, then build on it. Case competitions if you're trying for consulting, finance competitions if you're trying for finance, some CFA level 1 if you're trying for finance, some certifications in like data scientists if you're trying for product management. So those certifications, those case competitions, similarly when you enter the college, are you, let's say, targeting to be the head of placement committee? What are you doing in order to become the head of placement committee? So building your CV becomes very important as well, so that you get a good job.
Right. No, I agree. I think I've seen a lot of people who are like getting into MBA just because they want to do a job ultimately. But I think even the 2-year experience that they get in terms of building their exposure, grooming their personality, plus knowing 400 people in the batch, the network that they build, I think these are also some primary reasons which people should consider like before doing an MBA. That's what I
Of
feel.
course. Alumni network is so important. Like
Yeah.
it's extremely important. For example, IIM Ahmedabad has this entire alumni organization. We still get mails on our IIM Ahmedabad website. We can reach out to someone who has studied in IIM Ahmedabad, maybe in like some 1900 batch, and try to connect with them on LinkedIn. So alumni network is also very important.
Right.
And the network of your batchmates is also very important.
No, I agree completely. So after IIM Ahmedabad, then so at IIM Ahmedabad itself, in a span of 2 years, so there are like semester again, like exams and all happen, like the way it happens in your undergrad. And how are these exams? So is it similar to the undergrad exams, or is it more like again case study based, and it's more like where you have to give some practical examples and all?
Yeah, so there are 3 semesters per year. So over a period of 2 years, you have 6 semesters. After your 3 semesters in first year, you do the internship, and then you do the remaining 3 semesters. You can select your electives in second year, by the way. So that's good. There are...
And what kind of electives are these? Like,
so for example, if you like more finance subject, you can select more finance. If you like more consulting subjects, then there are more consulting based subjects. If you like economics, you can take economics based subjects. There are also subjects on strategy, etc., which a lot of people take. So basically, these are HR courses also you have. So if you are interested in some specific field, then you can choose a mix of electives. So it's not like you are interested in HR, so all your electives are going to be HR. Basically, I'm trying to say that you can select a mix of, let's say, 20% HR, 30% strategy, 50% other something else.
got it. Fair. And then these exams are basically again like similar to your undergrad.
So the exams are slightly different. So in undergrad, at least it's like I would say 80% final examinations, 5% or so is your attendance, and then 15% or so would be the projects, etc., that you do, right? In IIM Ahmedabad, slightly similar, wherein 70% or so would be the examinations that you sit in. Then there is some class participation of 10% or 5% and attendance, and then 20% would be either projects which are very case based, etc. And these are, so the way IIM Ahmedabad, at least I don't know about Bangalore or Calcutta, but in IIM Ahmedabad every class is divided into groups of 7, and these are called your subject groups. And the way the projects are given is, it's individual also, but most of the time these are group projects. So I had my group of 7 students, and then we would get a project, we would divide it amongst ourselves, and then accordingly apply. So that's how it used to happen.
Right. I think it teaches you team building and all of that. So you were right when you said it's like a mini corporate life at IIM. I heard that MBA people party a lot. How often do you used to party?
I think that's extremely true from IIM Calcutta. Honestly, my experience,
they are not going to like you
Calcutta
for this.
parties the most.
Okay.
Then IIM Bangalore. IIM Ahmedabad, the issue is that we are in a dry state. So partying is typically difficult. Plus Ahmedabad is also not a city that parties a lot.
Okay.
So there are some room parties or house parties, but I think we party average. We can do better. IIM Ahmedabad can do better.
What's your definition of average?
It's between Bangalore and Calcutta. Is my average.
Got it. And on a lighter note, did you find anyone at IIM Ahmedabad?
Like for a romantic interest?
Yeah, of course.
No, not really. Because of 2-3 reasons. I think number one was I was young, like younger compared to the average batch, because generally people, I think there are just 25% or 30, maximum 30% freshers. Rest are all older than you, and therefore most of them also already have their romantic interest going on in their life. And secondly, I just feel like dating in MBA can also be very CV based, for example, which is very weird, right? But like, okay, I recall conversations wherein people would just be like, okay, this guy is from a good background, also so and so intern, also like, okay, top 5 ranker, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, that's, how can you love a CV? Very weird. So people date CVs also, which I don't stand by at all.
My God, I'm listening to this for the first time that people did CVs at IIMs.
Yeah.
That's a funny one. Got it. And after you graduated, then you worked at consulting. I've also seen a lot of your travel stories. By the way, you've traveled to a lot of countries. So this is travel like due to work, or like you like go on vacations and all?
It's a mix of both. So generally between my project, I take some time off because it also helps me to recharge and also to prepare for the next project. So a lot of them are also personal, but they include a lot of work trips as well.
Got it. So how many countries would you have traveled so far in your life?
I think at least 10.
Wow. Okay.
At least.
And what is something, or maybe one memorable experience from any of those countries, and that has taught you a lot in your career,
In my career,
or maybe in general in life?
have in general so many lessons. For example, don't leave your phone on the table in a club, especially in Spain.
Okay. Tell us more about this. What happened then?
Yeah, no, I was able to find it,
Okay.
but
Okay.
yeah,
Someone
so-
stole your phone, is it?
yeah, I think
Oh.
someone just took it. I don't
Okay.
know.
Got it.
But thankfully, I was learning a little bit of Spanish, so I was able to communicate that my phone is lost. And then a group of a bunch of Mexican folks helped me, so that
Got it.
was good.
Nice.
But yeah, in terms of my career, I think what it has really helped me is working with teams who are not from the same background, who are not from the same culture of working as well. Like the ways of working differ so much between different countries, and not just I'm talking about Europe versus US versus India, but even within Europe, I worked with folks who are from Italy versus folks who are from France versus those who are from Germany. And just the way of working, the culture, it differs so much, and therefore it's always very interesting to learn different culture of working. For example, in Germany, they are super meticulous about even putting footnotes, etc., sources, versus I've generally seen that French people really like to be super top down. So I think those ways of working, they all teach you a lot.
Right. Any memorable experience from any of the countries that you have visited, apart from the one that you mentioned in Spain? Any other experience that really taught you a lot of things?
Yeah, I think particularly not about teaching me a lot of things. My most memorable experience, in all honesty, has been Northern Lights. That was the most memorable experience.
So, sorry, which place?
Northern Lights.
Okay, where is this?
So this is mostly in the Icelandic region. I went to, it's called the Santa Village.
Okay.
Very cute name.
What's
it's,
that?
It's actually called the Santa Village. So you have to basically take a flight near Iceland to this place, Rovaniemi, and it's called the Santa Village, and you can see the Northern Lights at night there.
Oh,
I
wow.
took a glass igloo and saw the Northern Lights, so that was my most memorable
Wow.
experience. But I think what it has, like traveling, what it has taught me the most is that it's just okay to be alone, to be a solo traveler, to meet people, to talk to them. It's also super fun to build different personas. For example, I recall when I was in Spain, I told everyone that I'm an exchange student from so-and-so university. And yeah, it's just fun to sometimes just forget about the world that you are in, build a different persona and live there just
Yeah.
for a night.
Right. No, I am sure like it'll be very good experience, and it also broadens your horizon, right?
Yeah,
I
a
mean, you
lot.
travel to so many places, you get to meet new people, know their perspectives and all.
Yeah.
That'll just broaden your horizon as well.
Exactly, and it also teaches you a lot of ground realities in a lot of ways. For example, I think when I went to Italy for the first time, for me it was mostly okay, what a beautiful location, gelato, pizza, etc. But when I went to Italy for the next time, it was more about okay, this is the winery business that they have, and it's so beautiful. Majority of the wines are actually right now owned by big families, and the way they manage it is so meticulous. And they take a lot of pride in the product that they are building, rather than just the brand, right? A lot of these Italian wineries don't have a brand. They supply to a big manufacturer or a consolidator, but their wines are not branded, but they take a lot of like inspiration and still ensuring that the product is top quality.
Right. So you're also working in a full-time job and you're also active on content on LinkedIn as well as Instagram. I keep watching your reels. So how do you manage your time between work and content?
Yeah. So there are 2 times when I manage my content. Number 1 is generally on the gym when I'm yeah, fun answer I told you. Generally when I'm bicycling in the gym because I'm stationary, I look at comments and DMs when I'm there, and I also generally think of next ideas to post in the gym while bicycling.
That's very productive utilization of your time at the gym.
Yeah, and when do I create content is when I'm traveling back from office, because generally it takes like anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes, and I think that's good amount of time to create content.
Got it.
So yeah,
very nice. And how do you come up with the topic ideas and all of that?
I think generally if you look at my Instagram, majority of it is travel, so I don't have to look for ideas because it's more, and that's how it started. I just started traveling and I started posting about my travel experiences, etc. So it comes quite naturally, and because every 2 weeks I'm in a different place, it's very easy for me to just think about what was the last place I was in. Of course, more content which is specific to my education, that I have to think through, but that's mostly driven by the DMs that I get. For example, I get a lot of DMs from students on how to prepare for CAT, on like how to manage work-life balance. There are a lot of people who also reach out to me just communicating that they are feeling drowned in their work. How do they actually cope up with this? Is it normal? Is it natural? How do they build mentorship, etc.? So it's a majority of those questions and one-on-one conversations that I have, which inspires me on what next to post about.
Got it. What is one weirdest DM you have received on Instagram?
I think all the influencers who are watching me, girl influencers, know that there is feet fetish. And you would get random uncles asking for your pictures of the feet. I think that's the weirdest that it gets.
Okay. And what do you reply?
No reply. Blocked.
Oh, wow.
Bye.
Got it. And you're working in consulting. So what's the typical salary which people can expect in consulting industry?
Yeah, so in consulting to start with, you can expect somewhere between 25 to 30 to 33. So you can expect somewhere between there.
Got it. So this is for a fresher.
It doesn't matter because like after MBA, you get recruited to a position. It doesn't matter whether you're a fresher or whether you have work experience of 2 years. Whether you have
no, I meant after MBA immediately.
Yeah, after MBA immediately, irrespective of fresher, etc., you get directly.
Got it. So 25 to 32 lakhs per annum. Got it. Fair. And like since you've achieved so much in your life and you come from Ajmer, then you have then shifted to Delhi, then now to Bombay and all, and you also travel the world. So what is that one turning point in your life that really helped you to stay motivated? And today also, like, what is something that keeps you going all the way?
Yeah. So I am extremely attached to my family, and my grandfather was like my biggest source of inspiration, support, motivation, everything. And he basically was a railway employee. And during the reign of Indira Gandhi, he actually became a union leader of a railway. And from there, he just looked at how much these people in railway exploit sometimes, because at that time, you know, the entire situation that India was going through. So he studied and he became an advocate. And that is like so inspiring that at the age of 50, you have the courage to leave your stable job, learn and become educated, right? And I still recall he was 65 and he would still sit with his advocate letters and highlight on how he can support people, etc. So the turning point in my life was when I made my grandfather cry out of happiness for the first time, because that was IIM Ahmedabad admission. So I recall I called my grandfather. I was like, "Hi, and I have secured admission in IIM Ahmedabad." And oh my God, he just instantly started crying.
Wow.
And that time I felt like I have to just keep making my grandfather proud and happy, that whatever he pursued and the way he continued to learn and he continued to achieve something, his generation going forward is also doing the same.
Wow, that's very, very inspiring, very sweet also.
Yeah.
And I mean, kudos to you also for all your achievements, and I'm sure like everyone in your family would be more proud and very happy with the achievements that you've got.
Yeah.
One last question before we move on to the rapid fire round. This is a tricky one. If you were in the shoes of Kushal and if you were interviewing Akanksha, what is that one question you would like to ask her towards the end of the interview?
I would probably ask, like, how does it feel? Are there any fears? Because
Yeah,
someone who has
good one.
achieved consecutively SRCC, IIM-A, consulting, manager in consulting, like, are there any fears? Are there any mental issues?
Yeah. So Akanksha, are there any fears? Are there any mental issues?
Mental issues, no. Fear, of course. There are 2-3 types of fears, right? I think fear number one is if my career trajectory slows down, I'll be super demotivated. Like, another reason I selected consulting was because I know the career trajectory is super fast. In 4 years, you can become a manager. The exit options are so good. I can become a strategy head in few years. If I continue in my current firm, I can become a partner. But what if that trajectory slows down? What if I'm not able to become a partner? So that's one fear. Second fear is sometimes I feel like, am I satisfied without creating something of my own? Because I think everyone has this entrepreneurial spirit, right? And I do want to kindle it a little bit more. And if it requires me to at some point sacrifice this safe career and maybe pursue something else, then I don't know, I just feel like the more you stay in corporate job, the more difficult it gets. And that's another fear.
Because I think the opportunity cost becomes too high as and when you progress in your
Exactly.
corporate career.
Opportunity cost and also just your way of living.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to go to a time wherein you're suddenly not earning. You're just investing everything. And what if it doesn't reap benefit? It just,
But would content be more like that entrepreneurial thing for you as a person?
I think not content. I would really want to start something
Got it.
of
Fair.
my own, and very brick and mortar, wherein I can also just hire other women, other people who under my brick and mortar
Yeah.
entrepreneurial.
How much money do you make from content creation, if any?
Zero.
Okay.
Zero. I make zero. I don't do any collaborations. At least right now, I don't do any collaborations. I don't do any
Got it.
content marketing.
Got it. Cool. Perfect. Thank you so much for such lovely answers. Let's go to the rapid fire round. So the rules are
Okay.
pretty simple here. You have to be as spontaneous as possible and you have to answer like all the questions.
ठीक है.
And you are not allowed to think for even 2-3 seconds.
Okay,
before
then
answering
I'll
them.
answer in any language I want.
Yeah, sure. As far as people will understand, then yes. Cool. So all set? All right. Perfect. Your celebrity crush.
Jan Sommelharder.
Okay. One thing that no one knows about you.
I snore.
Oh, okay. What is one silly corporate career mistake that you have done?
I think not trusting when people say that so and so person is not a good leader to work with.
Wow. Consulting versus content creation.
Consulting.
Okay, because you have to say that.
No, because I stand by it.
Instagram versus LinkedIn.
Instagram. My
Okay.
first baby.
Okay. What is your guilty pleasure?
I watch MasterChef while eating food.
Okay. And the last question, which everyone is waiting for, when is Akanksha getting married?
This year in
Oh.
April.
Oh, wow. So you have to announce the dates also to everyone.
Everyone is welcome to my wedding.
Okay.
28, 29, 30th April.
Okay. If you really tell the venue and location, I'm sure
Yeah,
people will just crash. I'm not even kidding. People will just crash.
Yeah, but Kushal is invited.
Okay.
So if you follow him, you will be able to get sneak peek into my wedding. If he comes, because he was like, I'll discuss with you after the call.
No, nothing like that. Yeah, of course. I mean, I'd go for the wedding. It's like a very royal wedding. So, of course, like it's like a dream come true moment for me also that I have been invited. No? No, but thank you so much for
Okay.
this. It was lovely talking to you. And thanks for doing this. Any one piece of advice you'd like to give to everyone who's watching this?
I think be prepared for your future. Don't be too late like right now is the time to start working on yourself.
Wow, that's a brilliant piece of advice. Thank you so much once again. You've motivated me a lot, inspired me a lot, and I'm sure everyone in your family is very proud of you. And thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Bye.
Perfect.